Hi, Jumpstart friends! Today we are going to read a brand new story called Dear Juno by Soy Young Pact and illustrated by Susan Kathleen Hartung. And on the cover, I see a little boy. He must be named Juno. He is pulling a letter out of the envelope. He looks pretty happy. I wonder who the letter is from. And dear is something that we put when we address somebody in a letter. So if somebody is writing to Juno, like see his dog is even looking at the letter. I really wonder. Dear Juno. Juno watched as the red and white blinking lights soared across the sky like shooting stars and waiting as they disappeared into faraway places. The lights were soaring and flying high in the sky. Juno wondered where they came from. He wondered where they were going, and he wondered if any of the planes came from a little town near Seoul where his grandmother lived, and where she ate persimmons every evening before bed. So he's looking at this plane soaring high in the sky. He's thinking about his grandmother. She lives far away. Juno looked at the letter that came that day. It was long and white and smudged. He saw the red and blue marks on the edges and knew the letter came from far away. Best of all, the special stamp on the corner told Juno that the letter was from his grandmother. This is the same envelope that we saw in the title page. I wonder what Juno's grandmother wrote in the letter. Betty's going to open it. Through the window, Juno could see his parents. He saw bubbles growing in the sink. He saw dirty dishes waiting to be washed. He knew he would have to wait for the cleaning to be done before his parents could read the letter to him. Juno's being patient. He really wants to understand the letter from his grandmother and what was being said. I don't think he can read it, but his parents are busy right now, so that's why he's waiting. Maybe I can read the inside too, Juno said to his dog Sam. Sam wagged his tail. Very carefully, Juno opened the envelope. Inside, he found a letter folded into a neat, small square. Juno must be very anxious. Sam must be excited too, since he's swishing his tail. He unfolded it, tucked inside were a picture and a dried flower. Juno looked at the letters and words he couldn't understand. See, the letters, they're in a different language that maybe he can't read. He pulled out the photograph. It was a picture of his grandmother holding a cat. He pulled out the red and yellow flower. It felt light and gentle like a dried leaf. Juno said, "Come on, Sam. Let's find Mom and Dad." The letter is written in a different language, but he sees the photo and the flower, and maybe he can put together what his grandmother was trying to say. "Grandma has a new cat," Juno said as he handed the letter to his mother. "And she's growing red and yellow flowers in her garden." "How do you know she has a new cat?" Juno's father asked. "She wouldn't send me a picture of a strange cat," said Juno. "I guess not," said Juno's father. "How do you know the flower is from her garden?" asked Juno's mother. "She wouldn't send me a flower from someone else's garden," Juno answered. "No, she wouldn't," said Juno's mother. Then Juno's mother read him the letter. Juno was able to understand things in that letter even though he couldn't actually read it. Dear Juno, how are you? I have a new cat to keep me company. I named him Juno after you. He can't help me weed, but the rabbits no longer come to eat my flowers. Grandma. So this is Juno's grandmother, and in this picture, she is writing a letter, and this is the letter that he couldn't read. This is the letter that he got in the mail from his grandmother, who lives far away in another country, in Seoul. That's in Korea. just like you read it yourself, Juno's father said. I did read it, Juno said. Yes, you did, said his mother. So Juno's father and mother were able to read to him what his grandmother actually wrote. And Juno was right when he said that she got a brand new cat and that she has flowers in her garden. So now we're at school, and Juno showed his class his grandmother's picture and dried flower. And his teacher even pinned the letter to the board over here. So the letter's over here. He didn't have a garden that grew flowers, but he had a swinging tree. A swinging tree. That was weird. Juno looked at the letter pinned to the board. Did his grandmother like getting letters too? Yes, Juno thought. She likes getting letters, just like I do. So Juno decided to write one. So Juno's really distracted. He's just thinking about his grandmother in school when he's looking at this flower. And so he decides he's going to write her a letter. After school, Juno ran to his backyard. He picked a leaf from the swinging tree, the biggest leaf he could find. Juno found his mother, who was sitting at her desk. He showed her the leaf. I'm going to write a letter, he told her. I'm sure it will be a very nice letter, she answered, and gave him a big yellow envelope. Yes, it will, Juno said, and then he began to draw. Just like his grandmother picked a flower, Juno's reaching for a leaf. So he's going to send that in the mail, I bet. First, he drew a picture of his mom and dad standing outside the house. And then second, he drew a picture of Sam playing underneath his swinging tree. Then he carefully drew a picture of himself standing under an airplane in the starry nighttime sky. After he was finished, he placed everything in the envelope. Here's my letter, Juno said proudly. You can read it if you want. Juno's father looked at the envelope. He pulled out the leaf. Only a big swinging tree could grow a leaf that big, he said. Juno's mother pulled out some of the other drawings. What a fine picture, she said. It is a real letter, Juno said. It certainly is, said his mother. And the pictures that he drew tell stories of his life. And then these things can be mailed in bigger envelopes. We have this picture, so you can see that his grandmother, all the way in Seoul, received the leaf that he picked from the tree outside his house, and his pictures that he drew. And this is the cat that the grandmother sent a picture of in the mail. So there's a lot of communication going on. The letter made its way all the way to Korea. The mail goes pretty far. The mail can go all over the world. One day, big envelope came. So he's checking the mail. This time, Juno did not wait at all. He opened the envelope right away, and inside, Juno found a box of colored pencils. He knew she wanted another letter. Next, he pulled out a picture of his grandmother. He noticed she was sitting with a cat and 2 kittens. He thought for a moment and laughed. Now his grandmother would have to find a new name for her cat. In Korea, Juno was a boy's name, not a girl's, so that means that she had a boy cat. Then he pulled out a small toy plane. Juno smiled. His grandmother was coming to visit. He pulled out a small plane right next to the colored pencils. So that must mean she's going to come visit. How exciting. Maybe she'll bring her cat when she comes to visit, Juno said to Sam. It's his dog, remember? Putting something. Maybe you two will be friends. Soon Juno was fast asleep, and when he dreamed that night, he dreamed about a faraway place, a village just outside Seoul, where his grandmother, whose gray hair sat on the top of her head like a powdered donut, was sipping her morning tea. The cool air feels crisp against her cheeks, crisp enough to crackle. He dreams like the golden leaves which cover the persimmon garden. Figure out how to say that word. I'm messing up. And look, this is the dream. This is his dream. Look at Juno's dream about his grandmother. He must feel closer to her when he reads these letters that he gets from her, and when he sends letters back, when they communicate. Even though she lives far away, he feels close to her because he dreams about her. Right. The end. Okay. So that is read for enjoyment. And sorry, my computer.